suspending certain provisions of open meeting laws which allow remote meetings of the public bodies. This meeting is also being recorded and broadcast live. Further, this is also a special meeting of the City Council as provided in the Easthampton Home Rule Charter, Section 2A, subsection C, and is being held at the call of the Council President to review one item only. The agenda accordingly is abbreviated. The meeting will now be called to order. Barbara?
Peg Coniff?
Here.
Salem Derby? Nope. Omar Gomez?
Here.
JP Kaczynski?
Here.
Bill Lynch?
Here.
Tom Peak?
Here.
Dan Rist?
Here.
Lindsay Rothschild?
Here.
Owen Zara?
Present.
I would like us to rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Allegiance to the flag
To the flag of
United States of America,
and to the republic
for which it stands,
one
nation,
under
indivisible,
God, indivisible.
with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we have one item on our agenda, and that is a request from Mayor LaChapelle to grant authority to enter into an inter-municipal agreement to supply Westhampton with ambulance services. Mayor, do you have a sentence or two regarding this that you'd like to share?
Yes, I mean, so the agreement allows obviously services to be provided to Westhampton for ambulance EMS. On the Easthampton side of the equation, we do right now, the contract isn't finalized, would get a base payment for 3 years starting July 1st, and then we would collect any of the insurance revenue. We have the administrative structure already set up, so it brings in some more money in. And also, there's a consistency in service as far as mutual aid agreement here. So folks in Easthampton and Westhampton are more likely to get Easthampton EMS. The union is in agreement with this agreement, with this conversation, and they will provide a side letter if we come to terms and I execute a contract.
And according to Massachusetts general law, our role here is to grant you the authority to engage in that agreement between Westhampton and Easthampton. Similar, well, not similar, but we've done this before. I remember in the case of Weights and Measures with Northampton,
Yes.
we have an agreement with Northampton to
Yes.
Use some of their personnel to help us with that. So it's similar to that. And I believe at that time, we also had to grant you the authority to engage in that negotiation.
Yes.
Okay. I will allow questions to the mayor before we set the motion. Go ahead, Councilor Barrett.
Mayor, I have about 4 questions, if that's okay. And President Coniff, if that, just to inform my vote, and President Coniff, if other people have questions between that, obviously I'll yield the floor, so I'm not monopolizing the question asking. Mayor, do we know currently right now what the average number of ambulance calls to Westhampton is a year? And I understand some of these questions are going to be probably more appropriate for EMS. If you can't answer them, I understand.
I don't have a hard number now.
Okay. Do we know by entering into this agreement how allowing our ambulance and EMS to respond to Westhampton may impact their ability to respond to Easthampton residents?
They already respond to Westhampton, as well as Southampton, Holyoke, Northampton, and Hadley. So this would actually point them into Westhampton rather than another town. But the mutual aid, this doesn't prohibit any other mutual aid agreement that we're in.
And I apologize. I just want to interrupt for 1 second. The agreement is not made yet, so whatever the mayor responds here could change during negotiations.
Yeah.
So I want to be very clear that the role here is for us to allow her to enter into those negotiations, and that whatever, it's not consummated yet, so I'm not sure all of this information is necessarily available, but Mayor, you answer whatever you can or want.
Yeah, so they already go there.
Counselor Zaret?
No, I understand that. I just want to be better informed, especially with the time sensitive nature of this. And do we know, would we have to change staffing at all for this in order to, okay.
No, and again, the union will, right now they're agreeing, and Chief Motter started these conversations a while ago, and back and forth, and it's a, you know, mutual aid agreements are not uncommon, and the union obviously needs to be on board with it, and they are.
Okay, thank you. I mean, just with the brevity of the short period of time to discuss this, I just wanted to make sure I got any questions out there.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. Anything else from anyone? Counselor Kwasinski?
It sounds like a good plan. Everybody's in agreement with it. I was just curious if you could run through for us, and I think I have an understanding, but certainly for the public, as to how this would work. We have a minimum, a staffing now of 7 personnel in the fire department currently, and my understanding is that, you know, the ambulance would go out with 2 people, make the run. There wouldn't be an automatic call. There would be an automatic callback going to West Hampton. So you tone out to all the firefighters in the city and say, geez, please replace with 2 people. You get a minimum minimum 3 hours time, I believe, to come back. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. And how many firefighters generally respond to the tones currently? I mean,
No idea.
You know,
I don't know.
Do we have 2 or 3, or do we have like, usually it's 5 or 6 or 10?
No idea.
The city is well covered. That was the point of my
Yeah,
question.
I mean, I understand that, and I get that it's a single agreement, but I think the bigger question here is to put it in context. Our ambulance right now under mutual aid agreements can potentially go to over 10 communities much farther than West Hampton. So while the numbers and the data are asked for, this isn't a new operation. You know, it is not uncommon for somebody in Easthampton to have a Northampton ambulance or a private company respond because our ambulance is in Holyoke or Northampton or West Hampton or Southampton. And it, you know, the minimum manning and how people are toned back. If not enough firefighters were going to come back in, then that's a supervision issue with leadership in the fire department. That's not something that I'm aware of. And certainly the 7 minimum, you know, to be there with the SAFER grant, it's less likely to happen.
Absolutely. It's a much better position than we've been in recent years. I guess the issue in my mind had been that I believe Northampton had been the first call for West Hampton. So that they were directed to West Hampton in the past. Now we will be directed to West Hampton should you come to agreement.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Counselor Lynch?
Thank you, Madam President. Sorry, Nicole, am I too loud?
Hello? Yeah.
The question I had, so this is going to generate funds, hopefully, you know, within the agreement. And I'm not looking for any numbers or anything. Currently, we go to Southampton and stuff like that, like you just expressed. Do we get revenue for doing those as well as it is now?
We do.
And so this is just going to make that connection us first, like JP just said. So that's kind of what it is.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. And the revenue, I always want to caution people on that revenue. I mean, to have the $25,000 or, you know, stable, I mean, that's what we're looking at right now. There's some other language that needs to be, you know, that's a good, obviously, we certainly are, a mutual aid agreement like this certainly has some fiscal benefits, but it also depends on the percent that you're collecting of those insurance receipts, that there's a yearly payment for it is every dollar is helpful, but this also is a continuity of care and training issue. And we see this not just with public safety, but like weights and measures and animal control. It allows smaller cities and towns like ours for continuity of care. But to say that this revenue would replace or make up for any loss, I just would want to caution that, because it's about collection, right? So, and the insurance company paying us.
All right, thank you.
Councilor Garrett?
Thank you, President Coniff. Mayor LaChapelle, this is kind of almost rhetorical, but kind of a corollary to what you were just saying, more for the people potentially watching. But generally, with the way, and I know that this is, we have a very basic structure of the contract so far, but the way it's structured and the way these typically work in regards to kind of a cost benefit, that the benefit, i.e., the potential profit based on revenue from these types of contracts versus the cost to us in regards to staffing, et cetera. Generally, it's beneficial to the municipality, correct?
Yeah, generally. I mean, yeah, based on other, I mean, I haven't released any draft documents.
But generally, we won't lose money from this.
Generally, no. And I would hope it would help with the SAFER grant, because we would know we have at least that base payment come in. Mm-hmm.
Any other questions? Councilor Peak?
Yeah, so this sounds like a pretty good idea. I know that the firefighters have spoken in support of it. So, I'm definitely, I like the sound of this. I just want to say that, timeline permitting going forward with these sort of intermunicipal agreements, sort of as the rules chair, I'd really like the opportunity for these things to be sent to rules. I understand that this is sort of a different situation, but there's been a handful of things recently coming through the city, which have been sort of time sensitive, where I sort of wish we had had a chance to maybe send that to committee and go through the proper process. So, I like I said, I'm not standing in the way of this tonight, but just going forward, where possible, these sorts of things, I'd really like to see them go to committee so that we can sort of discuss them at, in the way that we did the weights and measures or the animal control or any of that stuff without having to hold a special meeting.
Any other questions? Okay. Dan, do you want to make the motion?
I will. I move that in accordance with MGL Chapter 40, Section 4A, the City Council authorizes the mayor to enter into an intra-municipal agreement, whereas it says intra in my...
There was a revision.
Inter-municipal agreement, whereas Easthampton Fire Department supplies the town of West Hampton with ambulance services.
Second.
Motion is second to authorize the mayor to enter into an intermunicipal agreement. Any further discussion? Barbara, roll call.
Peg Coniff,
Yes.
Omar Gomez,
Yes.
JP Kaczynski,
I vote yes.
Bill Lynch,
Yes.
Tom Peak,
Aye.
Dan Rist,
Yes.
Lindsay Rothschild,
Yes.
Owen Zaret.
Aye.
I will take a motion to adjourn.
So
So
moved.
moved.
Second.
Thank you all very much.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Mayor. Barb, can we just do a quick roll call for adjournment?
Sure. Peg
before you guys
Coniff,
all go? Yes.
Omar Gomez,
Yes.
JP Kaczynski,
Yes.
Bill Lynch,
Yes.
Tom Peak,
Yes.
Dan Rist,
Yes.
Lindsay Rothschild,
Yes.
Owen Zaret.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes. Good night, everyone.
Good
Be
night.
safe.